You ever catch yourself lying to yourself? Not the small stuff like, I'll eat better tomorrow or I'll get up early next week, but the big lies, the ones that hold your identity together, the ones that let you believe your life means something, that your choices matter, that who you are is real and solid. Most people don't even realize they're lying. They move through life wearing a mask they've convinced themselves is their face. That's what French existentialists called bad faith. A state of self-deception so complete, people actually believe the roles they've chosen to play. But what if your mind just refuses to play along? What if the performance starts to break down? Imagine you're a therapist. You help people find meaning. You offer tools, frameworks, hope. You listen, you nod, you guide. And then you go home, knowing every technique you shared is something you don't even believe in anymore. You sell meaning like it's a product, but deep down, you know. Every framework, every purpose, it's all made up. You help others build beautiful cages while knowing you're still trapped in one too. Now, imagine two people living side by side. Same city, same job, same daily routine. One wakes up, grabs coffee, goes to work, laughs at jokes, complains about traffic, scrolls through memes, watches Netflix, and sleeps like a baby. Their biggest stress, whether their favorite show gets renewed, and they're fine with that. They sleep soundly, no existential crisis. The second person, same routine, but their brain won't shut up. They lie awake at 3 a.m. asking, why does this all feel so pointless? They wonder why they pretend to care about small talk, about emails, about anything. They don't feel tired, they feel buried. Same life, totally different experience. And here's the disturbing part. The person who thinks more feels worse. The clearer your mind sees, the more it suffers. The more you understand, the heavier life becomes. But why is that? Why is awareness such a burden? Jean-Paul Sartre had an answer, and it's not a comforting one. He said most people escape the weight of life by convincing themselves they have no choice. They tell themselves they have to go to work, have to follow the rules, have to do what's expected. They don't have freedom, they have obligation. But some people, the deep thinkers, the introspective types, they can't unsee the truth. They realize they always have a choice, and that realization wrecks them. Now imagine this. You're walking through life wearing rose-colored glasses. Everything looks manageable, even hopeful. Then, without warning, crack. The lenses shatter, and suddenly, you see the world for what it is. Raw, brutal, unfiltered. That's what happens to intellectuals. Sartre called it the recognition of our radical freedom. Sounds powerful, right? But it's not. It's terrifying. Because realizing you're free means realizing you're responsible for everything. Every action, every inaction, every result, every failure. You don't get to blame your parents, your boss, your past. It's all you. And that kind of responsibility, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like weight. So, what do most people do when they feel that weight? They run from it. They choose bad faith. They pretend they don't have freedom. They convince themselves they're just following orders, doing what's expected, living how they're supposed to. It's not stupidity, it's survival. Bad faith isn't just a lie, it's a mental sleight of hand. You know something's false, but you choose to act like it's true. You play a role and clap for yourself, like you're in the audience, even though you wrote the whole script. But here's the problem for intellectuals. They can't buy into the illusion. They see through the performance. They see it in others. Worse, they see it in themselves. And once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. The curtain doesn't close. You start asking questions about everything. Your job, your relationships, your values, even your identity. Are you really who you think you are? Or are you just playing a part? That's the curse. You're awake in a room full of sleepwalkers. You see the strings while everyone else believes in magic. And that clarity, it doesn't bring peace, it brings anguish. Existential anxiety. Not the kind you get before a test or a job interview. This is deeper. It's the kind that hits you when you realize nothing is stopping you from doing anything, and yet you're still stuck. It's the fear that every decision you make closes the door on thousands of other possibilities. You're free, but every choice is a sacrifice. Now, here's the trap. The intellectual sees the world for what it is. but still has to live in it. Still has to make choices, form relationships, pay bills. They can't just float above it all. They're forced to participate in a system they no longer believe in. That creates a painful split. They can't lie to themselves, but they also can't fully opt out. So they live in between, caught between truth and function, between seeing and surviving. Take a doctor who's read too much philosophy. He still saves lives, still treats patients. But now he knows saving lives isn't an objective truth. It's a value he's chosen. And once you know your values are chosen, not universal, they start to wobble. You're doing good, but you can't pretend it's the only way to be. That awareness poisons certainty. It turns every action into a performance you can't fully believe in. You're the actor, the director, and the audience, all at once, and you know the applause is coming from your own hands. It gets worse, because even when you try to be authentic, you're aware that authenticity itself can become a performance. You try to rebel, but you realize rebellion is its own kind of social pose. You reject society, but you know rejection has its own status. That's meta bad faith, seeing through every mask, even the one labeled truth. You begin to doubt even your own rejection of illusions. You can't fully believe anything, not even your unbelief. And with that awareness comes a crushing responsibility. Because when you can see the invisible choices others pretend they don't have, you carry their burden too. You watch people self-destruct and you wonder, should I say something? Should I leave them to their illusions? Is it kinder to let someone sleep than to wake them up to a nightmare? Worst of all, you can't blame anyone else anymore. Not your parents, not your past, not your trauma. You see too clearly how much of your life is yours. Your joy, your misery, your peace, your chaos. It's all built by you. That's the intellectual's curse, the knowledge that everything is your responsibility. And there's no going back, and yet, you keep seeking. You keep reading books that make things harder, asking questions that have no answers, learning truths that isolate you even more. You can't help it. You're addicted to understanding, even if it hurts. You'd rather know and suffer than believe and float. That's the burden of consciousness, but maybe, just maybe, it's also its beauty. Comment unstoppable if you finish this journey, and tell me in the comments, what's the most uncomfortable truth you've ever had to face?